So, wanted to make a quick video. I'm here at my night job. It's probably the quietest spot, even though it doesn't totally sound like it. Just the difference in hustle, or what is considered a hustle, based on your environment. Now, I live in Southeast Georgia. It's a very rural area. There isn't as many opportunities as you would get in a bigger city. I'm currently at my night job where I make $10.50 an hour scraping bark off of, or excess bark off of trees. It's a pretty relaxed job. There's really not much to it. You just kind of got to stay awake and watch out for stuff. And in some cases, there's a little bit of time in between loads of where you have to check the lumber and stuff like that. Usually about 10-15 minutes, actually, maybe even 20. I've seen as high as, yeah, it felt almost as high as 30. But talking with my boss here at my night job, and he's talking about how he has like an extra piece of land, and he's raising cattle. He's raising dogs and selling the puppies. He sold me some pickled eggs, and I bought one jar, fell in love with them, and now I got like 3 jars in my truck right now at $8 a pop. So it's like, when you're seeing people talk about hustle and what they're doing, it changes with the environment. Now, if your hustle has to be something that is, you know, in terms of like what happens in the inner city, or just in metropolitan areas, I should say, not even inner city. But if your hustle is illegal in any way, shape, form, or fashion, maybe you need to change your environment. Also, definitely you need to change your mindset. Because you can do a lot more by just, a lot more in the long run, by just getting a regular job or something like that. So when people are talking about hustles and the things that they have to do, or what they're forced to do because of their environment, if you simply change your environment, well, not always simply, but if you change your environment, you can actually have a different outcome. Now, when I'm looking at in terms of hustles and side hustles and other things that I can do, I'm thinking about buying a couple goats, raising some chickens. He's actually talked to me about it, and he's like, man, you could build a 20-foot by 20-foot chicken pen, and then go ahead and put some chickens in there, and go ahead and raise yourself some chickens, and then you can sell them. You can sell them eggs if you want. You can sell the fertile eggs, meaning that it got a little bit of something in the yolk, like it can actually turn into an actual chicken. And I was just like, whoa, because he's giving me a different perspective of hustle in this environment. Now I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I got to look at things differently. I wanted to buy a piece of land, raise some pine and some loblolly pine and some pecans. Well, one guy was like, listen, man, I did pine for quite a few years. Depending on what you want to do, if you have a swampy area, and I've talked about this in videos, and he pretty much affirmed what I already kind of knew, or what I've been researching, I should say, that it's better to put it in a swampy area to raise that type of pine tree. So, I mean, it's like all these different things. Now we're looking at different ways to hustle out here, because they're, in a sense, as much as I say there's less opportunity, I mean paycheck, a job. But for some of us, we don't want it anymore. We want to be able to, in a sense, live off of the blood, sweat, and tears, the calluses on our hand. We want to live off of that. Now I have to change my thinking and my mindset and the way I say things and portray what's going on out here. It may not actually be a lack of opportunity out here. It may even be more. And that's pretty odd. That's something that's different. That's a bit of a culture shock. And that's just something that happens when you change your environment. You start to think different. Whereas you should just say, hey, listen, I could go get a job here, start a business here, so on and so forth. Now I'm thinking to myself, well, I can do this, this, and this, do all the things that I did in the big city, and I have even more opportunity. But are you willing to do something? Are you willing to actually take the time and put in that type of work? Now, I will say, yes, there are, it's a little bit less in terms of opportunity, because there's a lot of work that you have to do to actually get that off of the ground, especially around in these areas. It's not as important. Whereas sometimes in a bigger city or metropolitan area, it was more important to start certain types of businesses because they were needed more. But even today, I called somebody to run some network cables in my house, and the guy, after a while, he was like, well, you know, my technician's out. And I was like, well, okay, that's fine. I just wanted somebody to give me an estimate. He's like, well, okay, you're gonna have to go find somebody else. And click, hang up the phone on me. Now I'm pissed. But I see it more and more that that's not normal around here. That type of work is not held in a high regard around here. It's less than. it's a lower rung on in terms of priority. What's important here is doing things on farms, raising chickens, you know, cattle, and all types of other stuff. That's important out here. So I have to change my mind. Also, I can also take that as an opportunity to actually do more. So we'll see how that works out if I want to run a cabling business. I hate doing cabling, but at the same time, it's an opportunity. It's something else that I can do. The only reason I always say there's less of opportunity out here is because it takes more money to get things started off and get it off the ground out here to a certain extent, because you make less money here, and that's harder to do because people make less money in terms of their the standard of living or the median income around here. So it's harder to get things off the ground because of that. So anyways, I just had that thought, wanted to come to you guys. You know, I'll probably call this like, you know, the Work Thought Chronicles or some shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, I hope that helps, and peace. Have a nice one.